There's something thrilling about a fast wagon, transforming the ordinary into a powerful machine loved by car enthusiasts. While Germans lead in high-performance wagons today, Americans once ruled with powerful V8 muscle wagons. From the muscle car era, when gas was cheap and horsepower plentiful, here are 5 of the most incredible American factory-built wagons ever made. Smash that like and subscribe button, and let's begin. Number 5. The 1973 Chevelle 454 SS wagon. It seems that most people dismissed the Chevelle at the end of the 1972 model year because the car changed to an all-new design featuring a big bumper style that did not appeal to some, but this did not affect its sales. The new generation Chevelle, also coming with the Laguna, sold more than examples, including the 1973 Chevelle SS wagon. This wagon reportedly accounted for about only 1,500 units produced total for both engines. The standard SS engines used a small block 350 that was duly outfitted to yield either 145 or 175 horsepower based on the individual options ordered. While this did not make the 1973 Chevelle a muscle wagon by any stretch of the imagination, the extremely few 1973 Chevys that were optioned with the 454 turbojet big block engine were equipped with a 3-speed automatic transmission or an exceptionally rare 4-speed manual version. One bow to boast, the Chevelle SS wagon with 454 offered 245 horsepower and nearly 400 pound-feet of torque, respectable in 1973. Added to that was the fact these new Chevelles had a far superior chassis design over the earlier models. Take that 4-speed manual transmission, combined with the 454, and you would add a rear-facing jump seat to complete the family hauler, yet still lay down some serious rubber on the pavement. Although we never got to see those black marks because it's estimated that only around 70 or so 454-powered SS wagons were built in 1973, and we have no idea how many of those were 4 speeds. The chances are that it was only a handful. Number 4. The 1957 fuel-injected Nomad. The Chevy Nomad is arguably one of the best and most iconic wagon shooting brakes ever built. It will never date, having that classic Tri-5 style combined with its unique 2-door layout. Launched in 1955, the Nomad had an initial choice of either an inline-6 or a Chevrolet 265 cubic inch small block V8. The top-of-the-line motor, however, was only good for 180 horsepower, somewhat uninspiring. But all that would change in 1956. This was the final year for the first-generation Nomad, and Chevrolet wanted to go out with a big bang. For 1957 only, a very special 283 cubic inch small block engine came available in the Nomad, upping the ante to a swift 283 horsepower, hitting that golden 1 horsepower per cubic inch rule. This was the fuel-injected Ramjet 283, with every option you could want. It was simply copied directly from the top-of-the-line Fouille Corvette and plopped into the Nomad. Either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission came with the Nomad, though all told, there were fewer than 100 of these fuel-injected 283 Nomads built. Today, they are some of the most coveted GM collector cars and regularly bring big money on the auction block. If you think the Nomad is impressive, just wait until you see what's coming up next. Number 3. The 428 and 429 powered Ford Country Squire wagons. When Chevy produced their 454-powered Chevelle SS wagons, Ford wouldn't stand for that. So, they did what no one expected. They created the Ford LTD Country Squire wagon and made the option of a 429 cubic inch V8. In the Country Squire wagon, the 428 was an option from 1966 to 1968 and turned out a very respectable 345 horsepower. In 1969, Ford went to the 429 in most of their lineup, including the Country Squire wagon. This 429, though not a Cobra Jet or Super Cobra Jet, still cranked out about 320 horsepower for the 2-barrel, and about 360 horsepower for the 4-barrel 429 available in the wagon. But what's really cool about the Country Squire wagons, though, is that they could be had with optional wood paneling on the sides, which makes them big block woody wagons, and that's just plain cool. Sadly, no 4 speeds were available from the factory. Records indicate that there was only one 428-powered 4-speed Country Squire wagon ever made, and that it had a front bench seat with a rear bench seat in addition to the third row fold-down seats facing each other, similar to the Land Rover Defender. Effectively, this muscle wagon came equipped with an 8-seater and a big block engine. While they're hard to find, these weren't specialty wagons, which means they're still relatively affordable today and come up for sale more often than some of the other wagons on this list. Number 2. The 1970 Buick Estate with a 455. This wagon was very similar to the 1973 Chevelle SS 454 wagon because both were one-year production-only options. The Buick Estate, however, was only produced on the GM B-body chassis for the 1970 model that it shared with the Impala. For the next model year, however, Buick went back to the drawing board with the Estate wagon and mounted it to the larger C-body chassis underpinning various Cadillacs and larger vehicles. For that one pivotal year where it was B-body platform-based, the 455 under the hood of the Buick Estate put out an earth-shattering 370 horsepower with nearly 500 pound-feet of torque. And here's the best part. This was the only engine you could get for 1970. If you wanted a Buick Estate wagon, you got the big 455 under the hood. Just amazing. This wagon even came with a Posey traction rear end, power brakes, power windows, and a smattering of other luxurious options to make it a pseudo-luxury performance wagon. It's hard to fathom what Buick was thinking when they created this wagon, only to change it completely the next year. But car enthusiasts are certainly glad they did. But with just over 20,000 produced, there are still wagons floating around out there today. And like the country squires, they remain relatively affordable. If you think the 1970 Buick Estate is impressive, just wait till you see what makes number 1 truly unforgettable. Number 1. The 383 4-speed Coronet and Belvedere wagons. It would be unfair not to have at least one Mopar in the list, and fortunately, there are those which fit the scale of Dodges and Plymouths. Many B-body wagons were made all throughout the entire lifetime of B-body cars, but only from 1964 to 1972 were a few 4-speed and 383 powered wagons factory-made on the Coronet and Belvedere. Actual production numbers on these wagons are like finding a needle in a haystack, but it's definitely under 100 total factory 4-speed cars. These 383 powered wagons produced 300 horsepower stock and had enough torque to burn rubber with a well-timed clutch dump, even with a full family inside. No production wagons ever left the factory with a factory 444 speed combo, meaning in terms of factory Mopar wagon performance, these handful of 383 4-speed cars were as good as it gets. I actually saw one of these cars come up for sale about 8 years ago on the internet. It was a 1971 Coronet Crestwood, and boy did it stir up some interest among collectors. Probably the most interesting cars on this list were the 383 4-speed Coronet and Belvedere wagons. In an era where wagons weren't really built for performance, it was the rarity that made these wagons so interesting. Not just from the production total, but also because they were so out of place for their time. While most of the domestic car makers were utilizing either coupes or sedans for their high-performance models during that time, Dodge and Plymouth broke the trend by making high-performance engines available in a wagon body. The 383's 300 horsepower was mated with the 4-speed manual transmission. These wagons could thus run on par with most of the muscle cars of the time. What really makes them most interesting is the fact that these cars were made to be practical, and yet their performance was not compromised. Now these wagons give their owners the best of both worlds: utility, much like a family car, and the rush of a muscle car. And there you have it, 5 ultra-rare American muscle wagons you've probably never heard about. These wagons are, of course, an extremely special part of American automotive history, really one where practicality could indeed meet performance. They stand today as a testament to American car manufacturers' creativity and boldness during the muscle car era. Which one of these would you want to buy? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing cars. We'll drive off for now. See you soon, my friends. Want to know about the craziest Corvette in the history of US? Check out this video to find out.